Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. Yes. So my first question is, why does Isaac plead with God from one corner of the room and Rebecca from the other corner of the room? And why are they barren?
Okay, so it's two questions. And well, let's start with your first question, which is why are
Okay.
they both in their corner? They're not in a boxing match. They're on the same team. The Rashi points
Okay.
out, he quotes a medrash that says there's a difference between the prayer of a righteous person who's also the child of other righteous parents, which would be Isaac, son
Okay.
of Abraham, and Sarah, as opposed to Rebecca, who was righteous, but her parents were not.
I
So
see. Okay.
it almost means that even if two people are praying for the same thing, neither
Hmm.
of them are praying in the same way because of their
Okay.
background, because of who they are and where they come from. So even if they're totally the same right now, as close as you can be, husband, wife, righteous man, righteous woman, they're still not the
Right.
same because one has a different background than the other. So it's telling you that prayer has such a personal um, element to it that even when it would seem it would be a shared prayer, and in a certain sense it is,
Hmm.
there's something very individualistic about a prayer. It's coming from a person's individual pain, individual background. So the corners
Okay.
represent their kind of respective
So
places that they're both in.
so they're in the same room, but they're not praying from the same place. Is that right?
They're praying from the same. That's a great analogy. The same room, but not the same space.
Yeah.
Like they're
Oh,
they're they're together enough to be in the same room, but they're in
right.
different corners of the room because they each have their own prayer dynamics that are based on who
Okay.
they are as individuals as well as a couple. So
Okay.
that's
And is that
essentially the
always
saying.
true? Okay, but
No,
is that always?
no, no. I don't think that's always true. I think sometimes we pray and maybe we're not in the same corner. We're in the same place in the same room, even
Okay.
more. But I
But
think it's
so could it be
ultimately.
that a couple is in the same place and could pray from the same place, or you know, the closest they can be is in the same room?
I think that even though it's possible for people to be in the exact same place, it's improbable. It's
Okay. Okay. So why are they barren?
so the one reason that's brought down is that any time that somebody is missing something, it has the potential to turn them to ask God for that which they're lacking. So
Okay.
God wanted to hear from them. He wanted them to pray. So that's one reason that's brought down. But there's another reason.
Okay.
And that reason is that he wasn't even supposed to be born, Isaac.
He
And that
wasn't?
when well, Isaac was himself like a miracle child, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And when he was born, he wasn't born with everybody has two souls, a
Okay.
feminine and masculine soul.
Okay.
But a man, the predominant soul of the man is their masculine soul, the predominant soul of a woman is their feminine soul.
Okay.
That's like Jungian psychology talks about the feminine archetype within the male, which is,
Right.
so what happened according to the Kabbalah with Isaac is that he didn't really fully embody his masculine soul. He had the
Mm.
feminine soul, so it was almost like he looked like a man, but
Right.
he wasn't able to have children like a man because he was missing something, not just psychologically, because if it was just
Ah,
psychologically, you could be a biological father without being psychologically able to be a good parent. But it was more than that. It was
right.
both. He was missing something. So,
So like spiritual. He was missing something spiritually.
yeah, yeah. He was missing something spiritually that required him to go through a series of tests, very similar to like Abraham being tested,
Right.
for him to kind of get in touch with that potential in him that he didn't know he had.
Ah,
So, so that could be one way of understanding their barren state, is that it was not just like we talk about the biology of it, and we would talk about like somebody going to fertility treatment to a hospital or a
right.
doctor, but we're talking about the Torah here. We're talking about it's not just science. There's some
Right. Sure.
other energy here at play. And he needed to go through this process to become Isaac the father rather than just Isaac the son.
Okay. All right. And the in the translation that I read, the Chabad translation, they do a whole thing in the beginning that I'm not sure if it's part of the Parsha or not, but they talk about how, Esau, like that God really intended, God maybe didn't intend for Esau to be the firstborn, but if God intended, if God made Esau the firstborn, you know, and really he wanted Jacob to be the firstborn, why didn't he just make Jacob the firstborn? Did was it some kind of miscalculation or something?
Okay, so I think there's two things. I think you're referring to something that the Chabad translation incorporates some of the commentaries into the translation, so it's a little more than a translation.
Uh,
So I think you're referring to this medrash that Rashi brings down that says that like if you put two pebbles into a tube, the pebble you put first in will come out second, as if to say, when there are twins, it could be that the one who was conceived first is really, even though he'll be born second, he really was there first, which is, first of all, like,
right, sure,
well, I mean, who really knows? It's not,
right,
or maybe even if that's true, I mean, they're twins, so they're kind of like, that's the whole thing about
yeah,
twins. What does that
it's
even
pretty
really
close,
mean? And it's
right?
like you said, you're asking a very good question. If God wanted, well, God wanted him to be firstborn. Was it like a secret firstborn? Like you couldn't see? Really, he was, but it didn't appear to be like that. Like if you could see
Uh,
the moment of conception, he was conceived first. It's a
right,
weird medrash. It's a weird Rashi, and and therefore when you read it in the Chabad semi translation slash commentary, it's like, well,
uh,
God can do it right all the way. He doesn't have to do this in the confused way. So, well, the answer is that as much as there's two parts of Torah. There's the part of Torah, the law and order part of the
right,
Torah. So that's going to come later with the Ten Commandments and the Torah that
mm,
talks about the statutes and laws of civil society that we need to like
right,
make a rule. And the rule is the firstborn, if there are twins, is the one that comes out first. It's not, we don't
okay,
like start saying, well, how do we really know that he's the firstborn and maybe
right,
the other one was conceived first? Right? We don't say that because the halacha requires a certain level of clarity. But you know how in
Right.
life, law is not the only thing functioning in our lives. Our lives are, I don't like
Right.
to use the word
Right.
messy, but they're much more
Right.
texture than just the law. The law is a framework and it's important. So it's almost as if
Right.
these Torah readings are about the inner life of that can't be captured in
Ah,
law itself. Now, that's
okay.
another question. Why not? Why can't our lives and what the law is be totally in sync? After all, that's
Right.
what we say the purpose of living is to have like this level of sanctity where God's rules and your life are just aligned. Well, that's because there's a whole world and things,
Uh,
even if you could line them up if you lived on an island with no one else, we live in a world with other people. So right away, there's
right.
Esau and Jacob, and they're fighting before they're even born. And their mother says, I don't even know what's going on, but I know that this is not a tenable situation. I don't even know why I prayed for this thing where there's this, there, there's this craziness going on. So what
Yeah.
that represents in Hasidut and Kabbalah is that there's two processes happening constantly in the world, in your soul, in the world, in the beginning of creation, before the creation, the way we knew it, and even a parallel, continuous creation, is the world of Tohu. Tohu has a chaotic element
Okay.
to it. It's translated as the world of chaos, in which the desires of
Right.
each way or feeling are so intense that they leave no room for anything else. And because there's
Okay.
no integration or empathy or communication, each
Right.
desire, even if it's for love, expands to the point where there's no containing it and it
Okay.
pops. It can't be contained in a vessel. It breaks the vessel. And then
Right.
this world is the world of tikkun. The world of tikkun means order. So tikkun and halacha would go together, and tohu and kind of like the untamed nature that includes volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis, and just the way the
Right.
earth kind of over time develops in a way that it's beautiful but also rugged and dangerous. Right? You would say
Right.
you don't want somebody going over a grizzly bear is a beautiful creature, but if somebody goes over to a grizzly bear in the wild and and goes to pet it, there's like a pretty good chance they're going to get killed or seriously injured,
Right.
unless the bear is
Yeah.
just like, get this guy away from me. I'll run away from this guy. But most of the time, it'll stand its ground and it's going to slap. It's going to use its huge paws, and you'll be like, "What do you mean? I was being nice to the bear. I love the bear. The bear should have loved me back." No, because in the world of Tohu, bears are protective of their territory, and they slash and they kill and they maul. So don't go pet the bear. But at the same time, if we destroy the world of Tohu, we don't even have the world of Tikkun. If we pave over every mountain, if we get rid of every wild animal, we'll destroy our own environment. So
Ah.
that's why Tohu and Tikkun need to find a happy balance between them. Tohu and Tikkun are not just between a human being the Tikkun and the bear being the Tohu. Each one of us is also a bear,
Okay.
and a bear is a dangerous thing.
Ah.
But if
Yeah.
so, we want to tame the bear, but you can't kill the bear. You just got to. The bear
Okay.
has to control himself and come out. A bear needs to be a bear represents, like in the masculine, a man willing to defend his home
Right.
from invaders and stand his ground,
Right.
to not allow. So, but you don't want to go out in the street and start acting like a bear and start hitting people, just random people, because oh, maybe you think they got a little too close to you and you're going to take a hammer
Right.
and hit them in the head with that. No. So
Yeah, but so is
Tohu
that
and Tikkun in the street.
so is
Yeah,
that the reason that God does not make Jacob the firstborn, like to have these two forces and to have them kind of work themselves out?
exactly. Because Jacob
Ah, okay,
and Esau represent the world of Tohu and the world of Tikkun. But the world of
okay,
Tohu predates Tikkun. Like it's already there. It's almost like people will say, like the the animalistic self is there before the human self, before the more evolved rational self. So you need them both.
okay,
In some ways, Tohu is more powerful, not just physically, but even spiritually than Tikkun. But on the other hand, it's not integrated. So it can't work without integration. So
ah,
so
okay,
that's a little bit of the backstory to help us understand why Esau looked like he was the firstborn. He was on some level. He had a
right,
certain power. That's why there was a struggle to define who's the firstborn, where Isaac wanted it to be
ah,
Esau because he felt that at least he has this power of Tohu in him. And hopefully he'll be able to harness it.
right,
He just didn't understand that he didn't really have
right,
the control. Tohu can be rectified, but it's a long haul. It's a big
hmm,
process.
right. But do either of them have this control? I mean, Jacob sort of steals the blessing, or is a little conniving
He
in getting the blessing.
doesn't
So
steal the
it's like,
blessing. He
uh,
listens to his mother. His mother instructs him exactly how to steal the blessing, but
okay,
he doesn't even. It's not even his idea. His mother
right,
says, "Listen to what I'm commanding you to do." And when he says, "Well, what if my
right.
father realizes?" Let me just.
What?
What if my father like curses me when he figures out what I'm doing, and it'll totally backfire. And Rebecca says it's on me. Like if something happens to you, I will protect you. I'll take whatever spiritual terrible repercussions there are because of this. So basically, it's really when there's a struggle and there's like kids, but it's really the parents,
Yeah,
right? So this
right.
is a struggle between the
Okay.
parents, you know.
Ah, so she becomes the organizing. So she's the organizing force. She's the kind of world of order.
Yeah, well, she's representing the world. She sees that the world of order that Jacob represents needs to get the blessing. Now, the
Ah,
question
okay.
is, why can't why can't they both see the same thing? Remember, now this gets back to them standing in their respective corners. Remember how you asked me the first
Right.
question? Why, when they prayed, did they have to be in different corners of the room? Well, apparently
Right. Yeah.
they were still in two different places, Rebecca and Isaac.
Ah.
They're not in the same place.
Ah.
And
Right.
that's what it says. When it
Huh.
says that Isaac is blind, according to the Medrash, it meant that he wasn't able to truly understand Esau and his motives and where he was holding because he was
Right.
blind. It's also a metaphor. He was misled. So
Right.
what
Okay.
I talked about on Shabbos is, yes, of course, in a simple reading, Jacob is the one who's misleading and deceitful and cunning and stealing the blessing. But if according to the Medrash, it was actually Esau that starts the deceit. It's not in the
Okay.
text, not in the text. But the Medrash says that he posed these seemingly very, very righteous questions to his father about
Right.
tithing things. But we don't have to tithe, but he was pretending to be somebody that he was not. And
Okay.
and the best case scenario would be when you want to see a Rebbe and you want the Rebbe to bless you, you exaggerate a little bit how good you are, so the Rebbe gives you a blessing, like his father Jacob, Isaac should give him a blessing. But the truth is that
Yeah.
there was deceit in Esau, not just this one time.
Uh,
Jacob deceived
right.
Isaac over the blessing. That's true, but that's because Isaac had been deceived for years. Now you could say, well,
Okay.
why couldn't the mom straighten things out? Well, she couldn't because she couldn't
Right.
explain to him who Jacob was versus who
Yeah.
Isaac was because he just couldn't see it. He just couldn't really understand it. He was
Okay. But
blind.
I can understand. Right. But I could understand how Rebecca is responsible for instructing Jacob to, steal the blessing. But before that happens, Jacob kind of buys the blessing from Esau with the stew that he makes. Isn't that isn't that Jacob who's doing that, or is that also Rebecca?
Well, that's like saying, somebody bought my home. He must have
Uh,
deceived me. I mean, that's a deal. You could say, well, what type of deal is that?
okay.
Well, probably the deal is because Jacob wanted it and Esau despised it. It's not that he was fooled. It wasn't fooled. It says that he despised. It says
Right.
after that. Don't think that he's like, oh, but I just did it because I was hungry. But in retrospect, that was a terrible mistake. No, he didn't say it was a terrible mistake. He's like, who needs it? I don't want it. Take it.
Right. That's true.
It's not deceit. I don't know
Okay.
why
All right.
we
So it wasn't really
read we
stealing. It
read the
was more
first
with the,
story badly because of the second. So even if you say, yes, he deceived his father, he stole the birthright from Esau. Not in the first story. The first story he didn't deceive anyone. He told them,
yeah.
will you sell me the birthright
Okay.
today? And you know what? I think it's a Talmud, maybe the Medrash says, why do you use the word today? Today and not yesterday. Today, not tomorrow. Today, as clear as it is day today. Meaning, I want it to be very clear. I'm not trying to trick you.
Right.
And Asa said, absolutely, done and done. I'm very happy to get rid of the birthright, you know? So he didn't deceive him
So
then.
you don't think it's a problem that he waits till he's very hungry and he happens to have food? You don't think there's
So
it's
what would have happened? Otherwise, he would have had to give him a little more food, a little extra something. I mean, what
right.
are you worried
Okay.
about?
Okay.
It says,
I,
Vayivas es habachor. It says that after the sale, it says that Esav uh, denigrated the firstborn right. Now you might say, okay, he was bar mitzvah, let's say he was a kid, teenager, and then he becomes
right.
60 years old or 50 years old. Okay, a lot of happens.
Right.
That I'm not saying that that's not an argument to be made that somebody could change their mind, but that's like anything else. You change your mind. You change your mind.
Right. 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 Okay. All right. Okay. So my next question is, why does Avi Melech want? Why does he want Isaac's blessing? At first, he doesn't like Isaac, and then he's coming to Isaac for his blessing.
It's a very
First,
good
he fills
question.
up all the wells.
Yeah, so they're fighting and fighting. They're fighting over the wells. And then at some point, Avi Melech says, let's make like a peace treaty and not harm one another. And they eat
Mhm.
together and they make like promises or covenants with one another. So I did see some things. I'm trying to remember exactly which one of them makes more sense here. One thing might be that at first, see what happens when you have someone over you who's a bad man, right? So there's two things that could happen. One is you could just curse, And that's what we do. We
Okay.
like curse
Right.
whatever politician we didn't vote for that other people voted for. We curse the voters. We curse we curse. I don't want to say, but the day of the election, we're just upset about it. The
Yeah.
other way to do it is you have to learn from what's going on. Like, what am I missing? What did I not do? Not to take responsibility for everything bad, but what can I do better?
Right.
And according to the Meshilach,
Right. Okay.
somehow Isaac, when Avi Melech was like kind of oppressing him and more powerful than him and taking advantage, he he learned from the experience. He became a better person because of that. Once that happened, that took
Cool.
away the power that Avi Melech had. Avi Melech only had the power to oppress him as long as Isaac didn't learn whatever lesson he had to figure out. As soon as he got it, Avimelech didn't have power over him anymore. And on the contrary, Avimelech had to make up with him. So that's what the man Shiloh answers.
Right. Wow. So we should always try to learn from things that are difficult for us, so they won't have power over us. Is that right?
Well, I wish it should be so. But yes, correct. You are correct. I just
Okay.
meaning I wish
And
you are correct. Whether that actually works all the time or not, that's another story. That's more complicated. Yeah.
Avi Melech, his name is Hebrew, isn't it? Isn't I don't know what Avi means,
Yes.
but
It
Melech
means
is
father
certainly
king. Avi means
Father
father,
King. So
Melech means king.
is there is there a reason that he has a Hebrew name?
Presumably he lived in what would become Israel, so maybe some prototype uh, of,
Ah,
of
okay.
of Hebrew language already existed. So
All right, I love
we'll go
that.
with that.
Okay. So then, and my last question is, it goes back to, this, to Jacob, trying to get the blessing from Isaac. So doesn't it say in the Torah that you're specifically that you're not supposed to put a stumbling block before a blind person? And isn't this in some way putting a stumbling block before a blind person? And God seems to be okay with this. Also, I wondered, why does Isaac, even when he realizes that that Jacob has done this, he doesn't punish him. He doesn't seem to call him out in any way.
Yeah, he says when Esau says, "Oh, what happened? He stole my blessing." Jacob actually says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Isaac says he should be blessed, meaning
Right.
Isaac understood that what happened had to happen, and the way it happened had to be the way it happened. So the question is why? I'm going to
Okay.
reframe the question. Why was this the best
Okay.
way for this to happen? Not just in let's usually to you're right, you don't cause a blind person to stumble, which also means you
Mm.
don't mislead them. It even means somebody who's
Right.
not blind, you don't give them bad
Okay.
advice that you're going to
Right.
benefit somehow from that they think is good for them, but it's actually not good for them. Here,
Right.
like I said, really, this was the opposite. It looked like he was tricking him, but it was actually had to be for a reason. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Remember, we talked about the world of Tohu that Asa represents, and the
Yeah.
world of Tikkun, the world of correction, where there's more integration, where the vying ideas are in conversation with one another till they come up with a agreement with how to act.
Right.
You see, if you only have tohu, that's bad news. It's
Right.
chaotic. If you only have tikkun, it doesn't have certain power because
Mm.
tikkun, because everything is in order, it lacks intensity. It
Okay.
lacks that animalistic drive that only exists in the world of Tohu.
So does it lack a certain amount of strength?
Yes, it
Okay.
lacks a certain amount of strength. So Isaac had to channel the blessing that contained Tohu in it, and it had to go to Tikkun. He had to channel a blessing that he
Okay.
thought was going to Esau, because that was a blessing that
Mm-hmm.
included the power of Tohu, the strength of Tohu, but it ultimately had to
Mm-hmm.
land and be caught by Jacob, who represented integration, so that power could be contained. The whole goal in life can be summed up with the following words. It's 4 words. Orot de Tohu, the light of the world of Tohu, chaos.
Yeah.
Bikalim, and the vessels, the tikkun of tikkun. It's all you need in life. If you have that drive, energy, power, passion,
Right.
that's like
Yeah.
doesn't can't be stopped of the
Uh-huh.
world of Toho, but you put it in a way that it's self-controlled in the world of Tikkun, the vessels of Tikkun, then you have everything you want. And that's what happened.
Uh,
But it can
I
only
see.
happen if it
Okay.
happened that way.
I see. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Great.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
Giving me
Happy
good things
to.
to think about.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Have a good day.
Okay. You too. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. Bye bye now.